ဖြစ်နိုင်ရင်လေကိုချစ်ချစ်ကိုချယ်ရီမြေပြန်ရင်တစ်ခါခေါ်သွားခြင်းချစ်ချစ်
You're listening to a special version of the Inside Myanmar podcast, covering the military coup and the ensuing protest movement that has developed. During this crisis, we're ramping up the production of not only podcast episodes, but also our blog and other social media platforms. So we invite you to check these out as well. All the other projects that had been in progress prior to February have since been paused indefinitely to focus entirely on this emergency. But for now, let's get into our show. I'm really excited about the upcoming interview with the artist Chuu Wai Nyein. For those that find the topics she'll be discussing of interest and would like to hear more, I have some good news. Next Tuesday, January 18th, Chuu will be a panelist in a virtual discussion organized by the International Republican Institute, a nonprofit NGO headquartered in Washington, D.C., that promotes democratic institutions and values around the world. She'll be joined by Omid Sharifi, an Afghan curator and co-founder of Art Lords, and Mubashir Hassan, a Bangladeshi researcher who studies the politics of hip-hop and rock and roll in Bangladesh. Chuu, Omid, and Mubashir will be exploring the intersection of art, politics, and social change in their respective countries. The event will take place from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can sign up for the virtual panel by following the Eventbrite link in the show notes. We encourage all listeners to consider joining the dialogue, but for now, enjoy our own interview with Chuu.
My name is Chuu Wai Nyein, and I'm from Myanmar, and I live as an artist, and mostly, basically, I make a painting, and I came from the really traditional background, so most of my artwork started painting the beauty of Myanmar and also the culture and the myth, the culture traditional. This is you can always see in my painting. And after this, I started to create about a series of women portraits after I have the experience of a sexual harassment on the street when I was 18-year-old, and started from that time I was focused on the daily life of women and unequal situation of women, and also how the way the society and then the culture traditional, how the way they shape women and the way they train women. So, and since that time I make a portrait of a series of women, and my hours are feminist, and from this series, after the coup d'etat, I make the hour about the revolution, especially the voices of the people during the protest, and with the handwriting that I collected during the protest, and I created hours based on this handwriting and the letter. And yes, for right now, I always keep right now I'm combining these two ideas. My base creations what from the powers of women, the way we exit in the even surrounded by the culture and tradition. After this, the coup d'etat happened in my life, and it's really a big impact in my life also. So I cannot forget thing that I started, what I created as a woman. And at the same time, the coup d'etat, that is the thing that I'm thinking right now every day since I woke up till I sleep, even sometimes in the dream. So when I combine these two, is sometimes I make the artwork about how women they involve during the protest and during the revolution, and also how the culture and traditional, and also the artwork sometimes how they involve during the protest to fight for what we believe.
Excellent. So there's quite a lot there. So I want to sort of go on a bit of a journey. No, that was good. No, I just want to go on a bit of a journey here. So we'll cover things in order. So you went to university in 2008 in Mandalay, and you studied as much art as you were able to get your hands on. But you mentioned that the art that you were exposed to and the art that was being taught as correct or fine or high standard art was this sort of the realism painting that we've seen of previous centuries and that we still see, but not so much the abstract art, not so much impressionist art, contemporary postmodern, just this focus on realistically portraying what you see. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think that does this culture of elevating realist art? Do you think that is harmful to the artistic community and the artistic development of young artists in Myanmar? Or do you think it has value to learn realism first and then branch out?
I learned from the basic when I started to learn art, and I was outside from the art community. I'm the only one who interested in art in my family and also in my relative. There is no generation who interested in art or who want to live as an artist in my family. So I don't have a connection and who show me the way, who give me the guideline to learn art. So what I did is I'm outside of the art society, and when I started, so I really want to be in this society and inside the art society, because I want to know the artists, I want to know the art teacher from the university. So when I started, I learned myself through the book and through the video, through the kind of a private teacher. But when I know people from the art society, from the art world, especially from Mandalay, I don't really feel I was one of them. And sometimes people criticize you, yet maybe you're not enough to be an artist, or maybe you're not enough to be part of this exhibition because you don't have the basis. So this is at the beginning when I started to interested in art and when I started to live as an artist, I have that feelings most of the time. So I said, okay, if I want to be one of them, if I want to be in this community, I have to learn, I have to start from the basics. So when after that, I took the private art school in Mandalay, and for 4 years during my engineering university, and 4 years. So I started from the basis, and then I finished all the courses exactly the same as from the art university or art school. What they teach on, because the teacher is also, he used to work at the art university, and after that, I'm still one of them. I became one of them. I paint a fine art. I make the landscape. I made a beautiful kind of realism art, and then I don't want to stop. Only just because I can paint as the same as the photo. I can paint as the same as the realistic, and I feel I don't feel right. I don't feel this is me. So I wanted to to go farther than that. So I check the contemporary art, I check the modern art, I check the other style of the painting, except the kind of a realistic painting. And then when I started to create it, the people in the art community, I don't really know about in Yangon, but this is my experience from the Mandalay side. So in the Mandalay, the arts community people told me, and that maybe you can be out of the community yet again, because sometimes it's the community is so tight, and what they believe is so tight, and also we're. This is the city from the last kingdom, and so the keeping the traditional and keeping the so what they believe as a culture, and also is a really conservative, and both in the daily life and also in the art community. So people remind me that maybe you will be out of the community again. Maybe the people, they don't accept a new creation. Most of the time they couldn't make it in Mandalay, but is it possible if you move to Yangon and you make a new changes there? So, but anyway, my teacher, he was a really is a good teacher. He was the first one who gave me the light, and he also had the same step at me, and at some point he was out of the Mandalay art community a little bit, because he introduced a lot of modern artwork. Sometimes he did the performance, sculpture, and the contemporary style of the sculpture. So she also reminded me, but anyway, it gave me the idea to start it. But the most difficult thing is you want to change your style from the traditional to the another style, maybe something to describe you. But the problem is how, because we don't really have a school, we don't have a university or a teacher. Or the private school, just only to describe it, because we have a school of a teacher to teach the visit thing, but not to show the way how to farther than that. So in Myanmar, especially from Mandalay, if you want to go farther than the realistic style of painting, you have to learn yourself. You have to read the book, you have to meet a lot of artists and people, and a little by a little, and it's take really long. Sometimes just within this process you can get lost. So I get lost for a couple of years, so for sure, and then I couldn't find myself, and I couldn't know what is the father's creation of then the realistic. So but at the end, I made it. When I make it, it is more unique. It is more so I feel it's more meaningful than that you doing only the things. So I think it's for me. I think it's important learning the basic thing, because when I have the idea, when I want to give the one message, just because I already finished all the basics, the technique. I know what technique that I want to keep, and I know what technique that I want to don't use in my painting or in my artwork, and I can leave it, and it's the skill and the technique can support the message that I want to give. So for me, I think it's a really difficult journey, but I think at the end it's a beautiful ending, I have to say.
And I think that's a very touching story. I want to focus on one element of it, though. So you moved from Mandalay to Yangon, and partially this is because the Mandalay art community you describe as quite conservative. They're maintaining these traditions. They're maintaining, as you pointed out, it's the last monarchy that still has that legacy there. And you move to Yangon, where new types of art are a little bit more accepted. Now, I wonder, do you find that is true socially as well? Do you find that Yangon is more open to social change and to critically analyzing its beliefs and its customs than Mandalay is? Or is this just for the art world? And
also for the society, I think the same in Yangon. Because, when you talk about the revolution, when you want to change something, and most of the organization, the people, and also the society, everyone who making the first move, most of them are based in Yangon. So sometimes I saw a couple of articles and a couple of interview, and then the videos. Most of them are really happening actively in Yangon and also in the society and everything, whatever changes, and in Yangon. So sometimes these movement, they don't fit in the other part of Myanmar. So one movement and some idea, we can say, yes, this is, we are changing, this is happening, but in Yangon, but the rest of the country is not matching this, not changing it. It's still really a close. And because I tell you this because I was born in Shan State, really a small town, and I still go back this town to go and visit my cousin and my grandparents. So almost every year. So I can see the way people think in the small village and in this region. And then I live in Mandalay, and in the people, Mandalay is the second biggest city in Myanmar, and even the second biggest cities in Myanmar. And the way they think, the way they behave in the society is not the same in Yangon. And still Yangon we all know that Yangon need to more developed in the society. We have so many rules, so many things to develop, to upgrade, and also to change the mindset of the people. So imagine how the rest of the country, the way they think, to change one idea and just to change one thing is just so difficult and so tight. And Myanmar is not representing only Yangon. So when we talk about Myanmar, sometimes we have to talk Yangon and also the rest of the country. This is sometimes I see that way.
Okay, I can definitely understand that. So let's be a little bit more specific here, because a lot of your art deals with women in society, the roles of women in society, and your portrayals of women are quite subversive. I mean, first of all, your palette is vibrant. You've got very striking colors, these strong pinks, these very deep purples, the contrast between these very strong, reds and greens and blues. So you have a very striking way of presenting an image, but you also portray women within your art in, let's say, unconventional or non-traditional ways. Even when the women are clothed, you accentuate the female features. You accentuate the breasts, for example, and very many of the women that you portray are partially unclothed, which is not something that we would see in traditional Burmese art. So, can you talk to us specifically about your artistic portrayal of women and why that's so important to you?
As I told you, I started painting the landscape and the beauty of the Myanmar, and after that, so one thing happened in my life is when I was 18, when I was living in Mandalay, my sister, she came and visited to me to visit the big city and to visit to me, and then we went out 9:30 in the morning for the breakfast, and one guy came and grabbed my sister bread and he drove away, and my sister, she was crying, and everything that she was holding in her hand dropped on the floor, and then she cried suddenly, and then she told me, and then I was shocked. Yes, why did she cry suddenly? And then she told me, yeah, this man did this to me, and then I was angry, and suddenly, spontaneously, I made the decision to chase him with my motorbike. And so I told my sister, hold me tight, close your eyes, and then I follow him, and then suddenly when he was planning to move one corner of the road, and then I closed my eyes and then I hit him to catch him, and yes, a lot of blood and a lot of crash has happened. And after that, I think this moment wake me up to focus on the daily life of the Myanmar women on the street. Because I thought it's happened to me and my sister because we were unlucky. But actually, it's not true. And when I talk about this to my friends and the friends from the university and then the friends from my hostel, and when I talk about it, I was shocked because they all have a similar story as me, not the same story, but a similar story, but they also keeping silent. So that made me why we all have the similar problems and why we cannot see it in the daily life, why we cannot hear these stories, and not because it's happening and we are hiding it. It's really happening in our life. So that made me remind the life and the society, the way they shape, the way they train, how should think, how we should behave. Because in our society, if you're women and even the kind of insultment on the street, you have to be keep quiet and keep neglect, and it's well finished, it's well gone. This is how we were taught by our parents and from our teacher from the school. So this is not true. This is happening every day just because we neglect it. It's what disappears. Not true. It's not disappear. It's really, really every day. So we don't even feel safe. When I talk to the girl, we don't feel safe to go to the festival, to go in the crowd, or at night. We always feel like maybe at some point someone will come and touch us, in the crowd, like just a random guy just touch and disappear in the crowd. It's happened a lot. So like instead of we enjoying our life, enjoying the festival, we have to take care. Yeah, like at some point someone will come and do something to you. So in Myanmar, in the tradition, when you go to the festival, you go there with a lot of friends, especially surrounded by a male around you. Sometimes the brother, your cousin, the mates, they're surrounded by the girls, and then the girl should be in the inside the cycle of your father, your brother, when they are surrounded as a shield. So. And this is just a small thing, but it's still a lot. And the way they think, the way we think, the way how the man would think to protect the girl, and the girl have to be, so many ways when we just start to think about from the thing. So when I started to think about it, I really want to make these messages. I really want to tell this. Through my painting. So when I start thinking about it, how that I want to paint as a woman. Okay, it's good that I will paint about the women with this message, but when I want to give message, I want to give the proudly and bravely speak of what happened to you instead of hiding it or neglecting it. A real thing, a bad thing, something, the insecure thing that happen in the life of a woman. So in also in my painting, also the speak out, and plus I want to tell just being the women, the existing of the women is we are strong, we can take care of ourselves. Sometimes we are brave and proud of being who we are. As we are. So in my painting, I want to give these messages. So that's why I made sometimes really a strong women in my painting. They're not really smiling, but their face a little bit smile, but kind of a proud smile, and maybe their body is a topless. Sometimes they open their legs so wide, like a man's bread, and the colors are so bright, like these women will dominate the audience of the people who watch this painting, and yes, being proud of who they are. Because in Myanmar, just because you were born as a girl and since you were born as a girl, everyone's around you, including your mom, including your society, make you think that you're a dirty creature. We can see this really a strong example is the longi, the skirt, the long skirt, Myanmar traditional thing that we cannot wash together with the man clothes, and after we wash it, we have to hang it the lower line at the back of the house, hiding like we're a dirty things, like a dirty insect, and also just because of your period, and sometimes the way you buy the kind of a sanitary pad, and like you stealing something from the supermarket, and it's like it's a dirty thing. And a lot of family, 99 or maybe more than that, 99% of the family, they separated the women skirt and longi, and then the bottom part separately at their house, and that made me feel, just because I was born as a girl, and I don't want to live this guilt, and I don't want to feel guilty. I don't feel this is fair or this is enough. So in my painting, and I also describe it, and I also use a longi or traditional fabric as the background of the painting instead of the canvas. And I really, really give this message really strongly, directly, to ask the question to the society again.
And I really like that. So you're saying that you paint on the fabric. Instead of using a canvas, you actually, your medium is women's clothing in your paintings, which I think is really cool. And you bring up this example, and I think it's a very relevant, very poignant example. We saw back in March, April, these tameng camp that were being set up in Yangon, where the women would hang the tameng, and the soldiers would not pass underneath, because they're afraid of losing their pawn. And there was a very interesting trend that happened not long after this incident. A lot of young men on social media started covering themselves in tameng and taking photos, whereas we have the conservative military who are still terrified of women's periods, they're terrified of women's clothes, they're terrified of losing their pawn, all these sorts of things. So do you think that these attitudes are changing in Myanmar? Do you think people are growing out of these superstitions and seeing women differently? Or is it not happening?
Sometimes when we describe about Myanmar, and sometimes it is good to describe like Yangon and also Myanmar, the Yangon and the other part of Myanmar, which is not Yangon included. So I think Yangon is a really, I have to say, a really modern city, and a lot of young people and are really well educated. And even though our education system is not really good, but they started to learn themselves, through the internet and through the other programs. So I think the way they think is really really open-minded, and they can see what is the mistake, what is the wrong thing in the culture and the society using these knowledges. But the other side, the other part of Myanmar, except the outside of Yangon, and the people still believe in it strongly. So when I talk to the people who made this kind of a campaign, young people, a young boy, a young girls, or also maybe the older generation who really believe in and moving this thing, and when they doing this kind of activity inside Yangon, a lot of people are supportive, and it's really, really working. And you even feel like, wow, we're going to change, like people and the crowd, they follow behind us. But outside part of the Yangon, and even some protests, when they had to run from Yangon, and they have to hide in a small town, and they still sometimes they still protest. They still doing this kind of activity outside Yangon, and a lot of that there are a lot of interview that you will find, and that they explain that how difficult in a small village and a small town to do this kind of moment, to do this kind of thing, because it's not about revolution, it's not about politics. It's really interesting thing that a cultural, a traditional, and religion is really delicate way, is twisted, and sometimes you cannot remove one thing like, yeah, this is tradition, this is a culture, this is religion. Some people think all the lady and in the family and the society, they believe this is religion things. Actually, this is not religion things. This is a traditional, or this is a cultural. But you know what they believe in from generation by generation for so long, deep inside their mind. So this is one good example about Taming. So similar like these problems in the society, and they really deep inside. Sometimes the way the society, the way the man treat to the women, they think, is this good? Is this deserved? This is just because of we are women and they are treating at this way. We are acceptable because we are women, and they accept it. So what is difficult in Myanmar is like in Yangon, you know this is wrong, and you know this is not true, so let's change it. And everyone involved it, everyone part of this moment, and they change it. Yeah, to change, they fight to change. This is good, you just need to fight to change. One fight. But the other side of the country is just to fight to change, you have to fight first to change their mindset. So this is, I have to say, this is the most difficult part, and this is something that we have to start first. And it is sometimes it will take many years, or it can take many generations, or if we're lucky, we can do within a few years. And what is based on your question, what is interesting is once happened to me like sexual harassment on the street, and then I woke up and I opened my eye and I saw this kind of unequal situation with women. I started to fight, and this gave me just because there's this kind of a traumatized moment happened to me, and I started to interested in the other similar cases, and I wanted to change it. I wanted to talk about it. The coup d'etat, what is happening in Myanmar, is similar with my personal experience. Sometimes I feel that way. Just this is a big, enormous, traumatized moment, shake the whole Myanmar, and so it's strongly this kind of laundry and Taming, and this kind of man glory, and then they kind of walk under the skirt of a girl, and this kind of thing was based in the modern society in Yangon, but the concept of a revolution will shake the whole Myanmar. So, and I'm sure there are a lot of women and girls, and also from the whole country is involved, and they started to think this way. And after this traumatized moment, and maybe they were started to follow this way. Why people are using laundry to fight for it? Maybe my grandma from the small town, my auntie from the really conservative auntie from the really a tiny city from Shan State, maybe they will start thinking about it. Yeah, coup d'etat is happening, revolution is happening, and why people are using this laundry and like the power of a man and women and what, and the whole moment shake them, and I'm sure it will open most of the people eyed, and maybe they will follow this idea, and at some point, I hope and I truly believe, and they will get the message of what is wrong from the culture and society, and what they need to upgrade and to go to the better society. So, what I'm really wishing is for all of us to win this revolution, and after this revolution, I don't think we will go back to the same as before, and we will definitely upgrade in a lot of ways in the daily life, in the society, and even in the political way, and also in the educational system too.
I mean, that's definitely something that we're all hoping for. But on the topic of the coup d'etat, so you have definitely incorporated the coup into your artwork, and you have these, artistic representations of people protesting on the front lines. Do you feel that after the coup, your art changed fundamentally, or is this just another evolution of the same fundamental messaging of female empowerment and a re-examination of the role of women and the role of young women in society?
All the hours that I created are based on my experience and based on my thought, and sometimes kind of the question that I want to ask to the people who look at the painting. So what happened in my life is I don't think it's separatable, because sometimes maybe they are a separate experience, but sometimes they're happenings in parallels. So I'm still fighting and living as a woman. I'm still have a lot of difficulties, and sometimes just because I moved to Europe, sometimes I even have a other problem as a woman that I couldn't even think of before when I was living in Myanmar. So before the coup d'etat, I was telling more about the power of a woman, and like a little bit a teasing way of making a question to the society and then the culture. But after the coup d'etat, and during the coup d'etat, I was quite active, and I was collecting the handwriting of the people on the street, and also I always kept painting, kept creating artworks. And after the coup d'etat, and the way I create and the way I see the problem, or the way I feel to the answer or the problem solving is changed, because what happened to all of it is really a big thing. For me, I still cannot believe that this coup d'etat was happened when I'm still alive in my life, and a lot of killing, a lot of traumatized, horrible things, and still every day. And definitely, just you're the whether you like it or not, it's break in your life. It's change you, definitely. So it has a lot of impact in my life. So after the coup d'etat, the way I see to the world and also the way I see myself and my life has changed a lot. And so all of my hours, so we can see they change. Sometimes I talk about the revolution, I talk about hope, and just because of now I'm far away from home and I don't know when I will be able to go back to my home. I miss Myanmar a lot, and now I can see more clearly the beauty of Myanmar and the deep, the unique thing, what make Myanmar beautiful. It's not, when someone talk about Myanmar, it's not only a coup d'etat and killing, and also behind this we have a beautiful culture, a beautiful story, a tradition. This one we also have this. So when I'm far away from home, and I can see this more clearly, so now I'm more interested in about the language, the writing, the alphabet. I feel it's more beautiful than before when I look at it again. And plus the killing and the fight for the people, for their freedoms, and all the bad news make me feel that, like, as I'm a Myanmar and also they are Myanmar, we are from the same country. I feel that we are connected anyway. Once there is one bad news happen, one killing happen, it also make me feel bad. So this had a big impact on the creating the painting. So the way I paint and then this style is changed a lot. Inside me it changed a lot, but now I cannot say in the painting it's changed a lot or not. But after, I think the time will tell this. But at the same time, I don't want to do only the revolution, only the dark side of Myanmar. At the same time, I see it's more the other unique and the beauty of Myanmar. So now the artwork that I created, I'm still carrying my backbone messages of about the power of a woman, because it's still even I'm in Europe, there is the issue. There is something that we still have to working on. This one will be the a little bit of the taste on the painting, every concept that I created, but the two things is separated as an hour. Is one about the revolution and one about the beauty and the unique things of Myanmar that I couldn't see before.
Okay. And so I want to just move back a little bit. So you're in France now, but at the beginning of the coup, back in February, you were still in Myanmar. So can you talk to us about why you left and how you left?
So a few days before the coup d'etat, I was in Mandalay, and then I decided to go to Yangon, because at this time I was living in both cities, in Mandalay and Yangon, and I paint in Mandalay, and I carry this painting to Yangon, and I work with the gallery there. I make with the exhibitions there. So basically, I live in two cities, but. Just before the coup d'etat, I make the decision, maybe I will go and live in Yangon, because it's going to be better for me, instead of going back and forth all the time and all the transportation. So I was in Yangon just to make the final payment of my kind of a studio, a place for the apartment that I will use as a studio, and also at my, to live. So in this morning of in that morning, when the coup d'etat happened, I was in front of the bank in Yangon. I was waiting to cash out to pay for this apartment, and the bank was closed. And I asked the security guide, yes, why the bank is closed? And I thought it's because of the COVID, because only half of the banks are closed during the COVID time. So, and then the security guy said, no, it's not because of COVID, is because of the political situation. And then I went, wow, okay, I don't know what is happening. And then my phone internet is not working. So I decided, okay, when the bank is closed, I will go back home. And then I called the taxi, and inside the taxi, because of the taxi driver, thanks to him, I understand the coup d'etat what happened last night at 2 a.m. through the radio. And he told me all the internet, all the phone lines, nothing is working, and all our presidents are captured, and the military, they are marching from Naypyidaw to Yangon. And then, wow, within a short time, when I didn't plan it at all, I received that news, and I was shocked. And I went back home. When I arrived, instead of I'm going to the apartment, I was on the street, and I was asking, when I see a group of people, I'm collecting the messages, because at this time it's so difficult to know what is going on. No internet, no phone call. I couldn't call anything. So, and then I realized the coup d'etat was happened, and yes, and after that, I was stuck in Yangon, and I decided to lose some of my money from this apartment instead of keeping this apartment, this idea to move to Yangon. And I was in Yangon, and the first 3 or 4 days was completely invisible coup. So I was even wondering, the coup was happened, just no one talk about it. In the downtown of Yangon, everything looked normal, like really invisible. So I'd even wondered a bit at this time, like maybe a little bit of changing on the leader, and nothing will happen, not like in the 88, I was thinking. But anyway, the way they did to us, whatever we vote, whatever people tell about it like we don't care, we don't give a shit, like we can do whatever they want, the way they do is this, so we cannot accept it. So starting from the fourth day of coup d'etat, a massive of people on the street, suddenly a lot of humans sit on the street. They started to go out to demonstrate, and me too, I wanted to tell my voice. I wanted to express my voice of, I cannot accept it. So, but I'm in Yangon. I don't have a lot of friends. Most of my friends is in Mandalay, and I know a few friends in Yangon, my old friend from the university, so I call them. They are quite far away from me, and then they are with their friends and groups, and they are demonstrating on the street. So to reach there, to arrive to their spot is really difficult for me. So I spent 2 days just on the phone and calling around the friends and to protest on the street, because many people on the street, and then we don't know how dangerous it is. Maybe it's not dangerous, or maybe it's dangerous. We don't know. This is really a new thing to all of us. So I prefer to go on the street to demonstrate with friends and people that I know. But after 2 or 3 days, I'm just in the apartment, and then I feel so bad, like masses of people on the street. I'm looking at it, and I still don't find a friend to join, So at the end, I said, okay, I don't care. Maybe I don't have a friends, or maybe they are far away. Maybe I will go out on the street and I will demonstrate myself, and I will do kind of creating a little bit of artwork. And during this, and I will demonstrate myself holding the poster. So I thought that way, and I went out from the building, and then I was checking in the downtown, which group look nice and welcome me, to join. And then suddenly I was just, just a human, nothing, no accessory, nothing, just a water bottle and a bag, and that's it. So I said, okay, when I'm going to demonstrate, I want to hold a poster. So I went to the painting supply store, and then I bought a paper and a paint to write a poster for me. And in front of the shop, I was writing a poster for myself, and suddenly one man came and asked me, "Oh, you're writing a poster. Can I have this 1 or 2 poster and one poster for me? Because I also left my house to protest on the street, but I didn't have the poster to hold it." So I asked him what he wanted to write, and I wrote it for him. And then and also at the same time, there are groups of the young artist group in front of the shop, and they also writing a poster for themselves, and also the other people asking to them. So yes, so suddenly once I started to write one poster for one person, it's never end the whole day. A lot of people, they came constantly and asking the poster. So at the end of the day, after I finished all my pen and paper, and I was asking, yes, me, instead of that I'm demonstrating, I'm on the street in the groups, and I'm an artist, I can paint, and I think this can be a good way to participate in the protest, providing a poster to the people, what they want to tell, what they want to hold in their hand. So, and I talked to the young groups next to me, and then suddenly we all become together, and then we make this plan, like yes, and tomorrow we will meet here at the same point at this spot, the same spot, and we will start to let's write a poster for the people, and then this is how the right for writing for the poster was happened. At this time, it's not right for right. I didn't give the name for the right for right, because after I writing the poster in the evening, and before we started for the writing the poster, before the meeting time, I was doing my other project. I was holding the empty canvas on the street and holding the pen in my hand, and I was asking people, write something that you're feeling now, write something that you want to change the wrong thing to write. So a lot of people, they came and write on this canvas what they're feeling, what they want to change. So beautiful. Some some of the texts are so beautiful, some are really hilarious and insult to the military, and really interesting. I'm happy that I made it, because every day the situations change. The voice of the people who asked us to write the poster and the handwriting of the people on the canvas is changing, and it's really directly reflect the voices of the people. So I give this name of this collecting the handwriting of the people during the protest. This painting, I give the names of Right for Right. And the other side, I'm still writing the poster, hundreds of poster, each of us every day with groups of young people. At this time, I have the Facebook page with 40K follower. So in my page, I was posting about the writing the poster and also the activity that is going on. So every day, a new young people who interested in who can paint or who interested in to paint, and they wanted to be part of this. During the post protest, what they can do. So every day we see a new young people in our group. So this group is getting bigger and bigger. And at some point, I started to think, instead of we base on this sport, and how about we do a mobile? And because the situation is changing every day, and the groups of the protest is also changing every day. One day, today is important for the UN, so the group of people protesting and giving their messages and voices in front of the UN. Sometimes they're moving to the embassy. Sometimes there's in the downtown. Based on the news and the situation, the people are also moving. So I was thinking, we are based on the downtown, not far from Sule area, under the bridge. It's good. So every day there's something happen there, so it's good. But at the same time, I also want to follow the based on the new of the other location. So I asked my friend to help me a truck. So and a groups of we split the two groups. One who gonna paint on ground at the spot, one on the truck. So on the truck, we decorated the truck with a poster and a message, and we hang the kind of a sign that is a free poster for everyone. And so on the truck, and we moving around on the street, and we writing a poster for the people. And when I say that I write the poster, and I don't write I write the poster and I give it to them. We didn't do that. We just waiting with the paint and the white paper and a whiteboard, and then someone asks what they want to write, what they want to give what they want to fill right on the board, and we wrote it for them directly on spot. So this is also really interesting. And every day at the end of the day, I talk with the people who write our groups, the people who write the poster, and every day the voices of the people are changing. Sometimes we have, we have a few leftover board, we make a mistake, or the voices of everyone's writing this one quote of the today, and then the next day we were keeping this board and we fix some design, and we give to the people, and then they don't want to hold it, and they don't like this code, this message, and they want a really upgraded depend on the situation, the voice of today. So this one is really interesting. It's based on the day, based on the situation, the date, the voice is always changing, and this is how I collect it. And not suddenly, actually, after day by days after this, the situation in Yangon is getting darker and darker. And the first stepping with the knife in the downtown Yangon from the people from the military side, they stepped the knife on the protest in the downtown, not far from the Sule where we based. And at that day, I was just another corner of this where it was happened. So we all had to run And I was walking to our meeting spot, and suddenly it was happening. Everyone's running. We didn't know why we was running, and everyone told us like run. So at this day I was with a big bag with full of paint and all the equipment, and I had to run in the small street, hiding in the building, and then some people they hide in their apartments. So there was the first running was happen. At this time, the military they didn't use the area bullet of shootings or killing was happened. But it was the first runnings happen. After that, a few people, young people who helped during the poster writing, they were in the jail for a few weeks, and after that they were freed again, but they were in the jail for a while, and the situation in Yangon is really getting darker and darker. We couldn't even recognize the Yangon as we remember. It's like a real battleground, and at this time we didn't do the writing the poster because it's so difficult with all the equipment after we have the experience or a real actual run in the street, and also with the big truck it's even more difficult. And during that time, I even told all of the people who helped them on the track, if something happened, just don't think about the track, just run. Don't think about any evidence, just run. But so luckily, we were always a little bit ahead of ahead of all the bad things happened. We only make the good decision to choose the location and also make the good decision to leave the time when we should move the time. So the track, we didn't have a lot of problem with the track. And after writing the poster, after the situation changed, we decided to keep in one apartment, and we paint a small little painting, and using through the Facebook page that I mentioned before, and we were selling this small painting, and selling all the donating all the profit of the sale of this small painting to CDM, Civil Disobedient Movement, the people who joined the CDM. We donated. This is kind of, we changed the plans like, inside the apartment, doing secretly. But it's still one guy, one of our friends with the scooter, with the motorbike, and they have to deliver all the painting of the after this to when we sold. So it's also so dangerous for him. Some of the small paintings are kind of political artwork, like against the coup d'etat, against military coup. So dangerous for him. Only we made it for 1 week or 10 days. After that, we decided to stop it. And starting from that point, it's more like an individual move. And I kept doing this, the right for right things. And at this time, I was living in Sanjiang. And a lot of military, they search the apartments of your building with no paper, no document, anything. When they want to check, they can break your door. So in my apartment, it's full of this right for right painting with the handwriting of the people. And definitely when you look at it, just the first 1 second, and you see that I'm with the strong evidence how people hate them, how they insulted, how they want a freedom, they want justice, they want the elected winning leader to be free. So these paintings are in my room. So I definitely need to move them. So I asked somewhere safe to keep this painting for me, and even to move this painting from my apartment to this safe place. It's like in the American, Hollywood action movie. It's so stressful. Sanjiang is full of military in every corner that we have to pass this. Yes. Anyway, there was one for foreign people, they involved for moving this painting from my place. So I think at some point military, maybe they noticed that with the car, with the different license plate, and they are moving from this building, a big board, moving something, maybe something is happening. So we never know. I never know how is that happen. But anyway, after a few days, I moved this painting. A group of militaries arrived, knock in front of my apartment door. They're gonna be 9 or 10. They're not military actually. They're in the police uniform, holding the gun in front of the door and asking the questions. And there was only one guy who wasn't wearing the uniform, and he was the one who's really important and leading the groups in the groups of this policeman. And then I realized at this moment, when they are in front of the doors and asking the questions, and whatever they want to do to me, they can do whatever they want, and I have no protection. I was scared. That feeling made me really scared after you saw in front of your house with the gun and whatever they can do to you. And this is the moment that I started to think about, maybe it's not safe for me to be here. And I still can, because before I never wanted to leave my country. There is a time that they need the people the most who can help. So I wanted to be in my country. I wanted to do what I can help, because already I talked a few people before this things happen, and then I talked with some of my friends, and I always deny to leave the country. But this happened, and I talked with one of my friends, and he's a really important the people for the NLD, and because anyway, just I talked with this friend, and then he explained me that the situation, and also he gave me the suggestions. Now to think about yourself, what you can do now. Not a lot inside Myanmar, and you should be out of the country. And I thought you already out of the country now. If you can manage to leave the country, he said he recommend me to leave the country, because if someone out of the country is something can help outside, is always useful. And prepare yourself, the thing that you can keep doing in Myanmar, and the thing that you can help Myanmar outside the country. And yes, this phone call really made me think that, and also plus the last night with this groups of the people with the guns, that made me really convinced me to leave the country. And I asked some help, and then within a really short times I arrived. I got the visa, and I arrived in France. And as for my parents told me not to come back to Mandalay to say goodbye, but anyway, I made it 2 days. I took the saloon and on the highway, and I went back to Mandalay, and then I say goodbye to them for 2 days, and then I went back to Yangon, and then I took the flights, and very short time with the luggage that I left the night they arrived in front of my apartment, the same luggage, and I arrived in France.
So that would have been a very terrifying experience to have. And I think you mentioned that your family as well had to move.
Yeah, this one was after France. After I arrived in France. So when I'm in France, when I arrived in France, the first a couple of months, I was completely acting as a loser. I was just staying in the apartment, feeling guilty for leaving the country, and I know no one in France, and I have no friends, and all my career, everything that I built from France to live as an artist, and everything and all of the gallery that I work I have to leave behind in Myanmar, and it's completely. I feel like I cannot speak their language, and I completely new here, like starting a thing. So, and I feel so bad, and also my emotional is really feeling down, feeling depressed. I'm completely a loser at this time, and then after 2 or 3 months, and all my social media, I had to delete it when I have to leave the country for the safety at the airport. So when I contacted the gallery in France, to have some chance and to keep working, then they said they asked the Instagram, they asked the social media to trace it, and I have nothing. It's like completely I'm a new person, like just someone who just finished the high school, or someone. Sometimes I feel with the 8-year-old kid can speak better than me. So I was feeling quite depressed for 2 or 3 months, and after that I cannot help back my country. I cannot even help myself. So at some point I was okay. I cannot be like this all the time. So I started building my portfolio, my website, and all the social media that I had to delete it. I recreated again, and this made me give life again. I was moving again, and I was hoping. So, and I make up my mind to recover from this the sadness, and also this being guilty, and when I'm capable of working again, and I can keep helping the people from Myanmar again. So I realized, yes, to help the other people, and also it's important to stand on my feet and to help myself first, and then I don't find any the place to make the exhibition of the Right for Right, the painting. They arrived together with me, and after so many people and so many months spent on the way to arrive in France, these paintings are with me, but I still cannot find the gallery who going to show this artwork. So I was a little bit feeling bad. Okay, I still don't find anyone yet, but instead I'm feeling depressed. It's good to keep moving on and keep doing something. So, and I decided to demonstrate and to do a performance art in the street of Paris. So I started with a small thing in front of the Louvre. The first time when I started is in front of the Louvre, me in the red dress, and with my head is hidden under the red scarf. And there was my first move. I was demonstrating there, and also kind of a performance there. And then suddenly the security from the Louvre, they run out from the Louvre, and they said no. And I think they're so scared and afraid because I got a lot of attention from the people. A lot of people, they stop and they watch me. I'm in the red, and then they cannot see the face in the red. So I think I understand that security from the Louvre, they were scared, and suddenly they run out from the building and they kick it off, go away, and then I have to move with this big red dress, and then I was for sure I was a little bit scared to keep doing the artwork on the street of Paris, because I just flee my country, and then this country is helping me to slave for right now. And then how about if maybe the copyright thing, so if I did something wrong, maybe if they kick me out, I have nowhere to go. So I was a little bit afraid, but I said, okay, anyway, I will keep doing it. So I kept doing a second sport, a third sport on the bridge, and the same dress, and then the same messages. And then this gave me energy, and then this gave me, yes, I still can. Maybe I'm outside the country, but I still can support the people, and I still can tell that we're together and we have the same target. So then the second move is like instead of this small performance, I make a kind of a longer performance on Montmartre, on the Sacré-Cœur, and I make the performance video, but not in the dress, in the white dress. And then this video was spread so wild in Myanmar and everywhere. During this time, if you ask someone about this video, and most of the people already watch it But and also the BBC News, they make the interview about it, and at this time I didn't know. I was just happy. Yes, people support me. I thought maybe they don't, maybe they won't really care about it. But seem at this time in Myanmar, the peoples in Myanmar, they couldn't demonstrate a lot. They couldn't do the lot. So I think it's what the right moment to this video is published, and then everyone's feelings like. Supportive. At the same time, it spread really well, and after a few days from the reliable source, and I got the message and the photo that I was on the I don't know if that I can tell in the interview, but anyway, I was on the military department top secret fine, and I was number 14. And they reported everything, the text that I wrote, the clothes that I wear, the colors, the locations, my name. And at the end of the paper, I think maybe someone's important with the handwriting wrote 4 lines. And in these 4 lines, like to find the biography, check the in and out list of the country, and also find the family member and report again. So it's written like this. So find the family member. This is the sentence that scared me the most, because I know they couldn't touch me, they couldn't do anything to me because I'm in France, but my whole family, including my younger sister, is still inside Myanmar. So instead of they cannot target to me, I'm worried for my parents, of course, but more worried for my younger sister, because we look similar, and she also young people. So as they targeted of the young people, she can be the one that they targeted. So I was so scared. And I took a few days to make the decision of what I should do. And then at the end, I decided to tell my parents, and yes, I did it. It's happened. So you have to move your house. Because I wasn't sure that the address that I put in my ID, in my passport, and also to apply for the visa, I didn't remember which address that I had. So anyway, it's the best for them to remove the house. And during that time in Myanmar, it's a little bit difficult to find to run a new place, because the owner, they suspect why you find a new place to run. You are civil disobedience, or you are the criminal. So wondering. So, and at the end, they found a place. After 1 week, they found a place, and they sent me the photo of the place, and my heart was broken, and the place is so shit, the toilets, everything was horrible. It's really kind of a dumb place, but anyway, they are safer there. They didn't complain at all. I didn't talk about anything about the place and how difficult for them to live there for a while, for a few months. But anyway, it's safer for them to move this place, so they move there for me, and they are safe now.
I mean, that ultimately that's what's important, is that they've managed to go somewhere that's safe. But from for your own position, you're now in France, and obviously you had a negative experience with protesting in front of the Louvre, which is very unfortunate. But as a general rule, I'm wondering, how do people in France, and how does the community in France react to your context and your art and your politics compared with the artistic community back in Myanmar?
For right now, every Myanmar people, wherever you can do, wherever that you can support, and back to the country, they support, and they're happy for every different way. If you can cook, you cook the food and you sell it for the funding. They all happy. If you can paint, you paint it. If you can make the music, your music has will be helpful. In every field, every industry, every talent people, wherever you can do, even a small thing is really helpful. So right now, it's not only the community in France, and every Myanmar people outside Myanmar, whatever part of the world, I think they are feeling the same way I feel it.
But so, I mean, not so much that, but I'm more like your art specifically, the the emphasis on the role of women and women in society and sexual harassment and these sorts of things. Do you find that the French community is responding differently to this art than the Burmese community?
Yes, a little bit slightly different, because sometimes when they look at the painting, they see it's the portrait for women, and they wondering a girl from Myanmar, this kind of a very traditional country, they made this kind of open position of a women portrait. So they wondering. So when they start asking the question, why you paint on the traditional fabric, or why you paint this kind of the women, so we can explain, and I can explain the story behind it. And when they match with the figure in the painting and the message behind it, it's really interesting. And I think French people are really open to listen and to explore the different culture. So there is a really a good part. And I'm happy when I introduce myself that I'm the one from Myanmar, Germany, and most of them, they know where the country is it, and so I'm happy for that. But they don't know a lot about the country. I need to a little bit introduce, but they know the geographically where I live, and some people, they already been to Myanmar, so I think the connection is really working well. But what interesting is still the message of the women power of my painting are still sometimes still a little bit similar in the situation in France, because still in France, the women right is still they are fighting for, and a lot of philosophy and a lot of concept, and in the article, and then what they are talking about it. So maybe they don't have a similar problem as Myanmar, but they have a similar the same problem as Myanmar, but they have a similar problem. So I think the women issue is like a global thing. So, and also they have a French way of thinking and fighting about the life of the women here. So I feel that they found a common thing, and they can understand, and they can have another dimension of the story from the Myanmar point of view through this the same fight.
That's fascinating. So there's a sort of a sense in which the conflict in one country can help to inform the conflict in another country, so that both can move forward and both can repair. So just experimenting, yeah. And
also in my painting, sometimes when I was young, when I started to change my painting style from the realism to the modern way, I learn and I read a lot, and I try to understand a lot about the Western art and Western art history. So at some point, I completely took 100% the idea from the West, and I put these messages and idea in my painting, but I feel it wasn't really working well. So, we have a different culture and society, and the way we live is different, and the way we see and the way we think about the idea and the way we think to solve the problem is also a little bit different. So, and at some point after a few years, I realized that I cannot take all the concept and idea from the West to put in the frame, in the artwork of the Myanmar society in my Myanmar mindset. So at some point I realized maybe the problem may be similar but different, depend on the country, depend on the society and the culture, and also the way we solve this problem might also different. So since I figured it out, and the artwork that I made and the thing that I see, they became more unique, and I can tell more about Myanmar, and at the same time, I can ask more questions, I can tell more about the culture, and at the same time, they are telling the the different dimension of seeing the same problem. For example, maybe one Western mindset about solving the problems. Maybe there is one problem in Myanmar. Instead of I'm taking 100% of this solution and I adopted this idea and I reference this solution, but I make a different solution to fix it in the Myanmar culture and society, and then based on this concept, I make the artwork on my painting. So when you look at the painting, the people from Myanmar, and they understand it, and they give a question to them, and the idea or the inspiration for the solution. And also the people from the outside of Myanmar, who are not from Myanmar, when they look at this painting, they still can see the way how we adopt we didn't take 100%. I didn't take 100%, and I changed, and I changed to fix it in our culture and society. So when the people outside Myanmar, when they look at it, the way Myanmar people think, the way we think, the way the society and the culture, how shape in the problem, and also the problem solving thing. So I think it's really beautiful, and I think a lot of people, they were left to just seeing this is my artwork, and find to understand the culture behind it, the social behind it, and at the same time how Myanmar people they solve their own problems and own difficulty in Myanmar cultural way.
No, it's a good insight. But so moving from the contemporary more to the future, I just have one more question I want to ask, and that is, what do you envisage for your art and your continued messaging in the coming weeks, in the coming months, and potentially even in the coming years?
Yes, after the coup d'etat, and I'm feeling is really a bit depressed, and after that I live again. When I live again and I make this artwork, and this artwork not only impact me, and only there are also impact on my families and also the people that I care the most. So before this time, I was a little bit wondering how art is important and how art is powerful in the daily life, and also to fight, especially to fight for the revolution, how the art can be a powerful. So before I wasn't really sure, to be honest. But after this has happened to me, and it's arrived the same time together in Sussex and the Setnet, and then the pressure, of course. But I realized the art maybe is powerful. The art, what I'm doing is maybe it's not nothing. Maybe they're gonna be the something. That's why the military they move their ass to take care of it, and they I mean, for example, like this hour, like punch them and it's hurt them. It's kind of touchable through art. So after this happened to me, it was really a stressful time, and I cried a lot with so many stress and pressure. But after this, I realized, the art is something that we can keep doing it, and we can keep punching them using art. So in the future, I will keep doing the artwork just to reach our target, the country, the better future that as we want to build with the justice and freedom, and yes, and I will keep creating this kind of artwork. And also just because of I the whole life I will live as a woman and I will live as a female, definitely this one will never change. So from my point of view, from the points of the dimension of a woman and dimension of a Myanmar woman, from all the background of the culture of the vision that I see, I feel not a lot. I feel that not a lot of people will have a chance. The people who have a coup d'etat experience, the people who have the sexual harassment on the street, the people who live from a small town, a big town, and then a big city in Myanmar, and move in France and completely different culture. So when I think about it, and some of the choices, like leaving the home, leaving my country, I don't want to take this chance. I don't want to leave it. But anyway, I'm in this situation. Instead of I'm feeling depressed and I wishing something that I cannot have right now. And I realize maybe when I create the hour from this point of view, when I look at it in France, sometimes I want to Luxembourg for my exhibition. I look at the country of Luxembourg, their culture, their story through my eyes. Sometimes I went to the Ukraine, and I look at the Ukraine culture and history from my eyes. You know, at this time, I was surrounded by the people, the local people, and also kind of a European nationality people. So when I look at one thing about maybe a COVID solution, like the vaccine, whatever it is, when I look at it, I have a different dimension, a little bit slightly different from them. And it's not only one, maybe a daily things, a daily life, and so what is happening in a normal, in general. Sometimes maybe it was one solutions, one thing that you need to find a solution to solve. But when we look at it, and when I look at it with all this background, there is a slightly different points of view. So I think it's really interesting when I can keep this moment, this idea, the view that I look at to the different world from the different background, and I can put it on the artwork. I think it's going to be really interesting, because now I'm not only from the small towns, really conservatives, only thinking and focusing about one culture. I can taste the other's culture, and I can taste the other different life and different view and different the political situation, different mindset of people. It's not only right now, it's like from generation by generation in their different society, how the way they look at it. I think it's really interesting and it's really beautiful. So, and I feel it's also unique. So I think in the future, I want to keep this little moment, and I want to show the different dimension of the looking up to the world through art.
ကိုချစ်ချစ်ကိုချယ်ရီမြေပြန်ရင်တစ်ခါခေါ်သွားခြင်းချစ်ချစ်ဒီမလာကြရင်လေညာချင်းပွဲတော်ပြရှိတယ်အဲ့ဒါကိုချစ်ချစ်လာနိုင်လားလို့ဖိတ်ချင်လို့လာနိုင်ဘုံမောင်တော်သာရွှေကိုသမုန်တိုင်း
After today's discussion, it should be clear to everyone just how dire the situation is in Myanmar. We are doing our best to shine a light on the ongoing crisis, and we thank you for taking the time to listen. If you found today's talk of value, please consider passing it along to friends in your network. And because our nonprofit is now in a position to transfer funds directly to the protest movement, please also consider letting others know that there is now a way to give that supports the most vulnerable, and to those who are especially impacted by this organized state terror. If you would like to join in our mission to support those in Myanmar who are resisting the military coup, we welcome your contribution in any form, currency, or transfer method. Every cent goes immediately and directly to funding those local communities who need it most. Donations go to support such causes as the Civil Disobedience Movement, CDM, families of deceased victims, and the purchasing of protective equipment and medical supplies. Or if you prefer, you can earmark your donation to go directly to the guest you just heard on today's show. In order to facilitate this donation work, we have registered a new nonprofit called Better Burma for this express purpose. Any donation you give on our Insight Myanmar website is now directed to this fund. Alternatively, you can visit our new Better Burma website, which is betterburma.org, and donate directly there. In either case, your donation goes to the same cause, and both websites accept credit cards. You can also give via PayPal by going to paypal.me/betterburma. Additionally, we can take donations through Patreon, Venmo, GoFundMe, and Cash App. Simply search Better Burma on each platform and you'll find our account. You can also visit either website for specific links to those respective accounts, or email us at info@betterburma.org. In all cases, that's Better Burma, one word, spelled BETTERBURMA. If you would like to give in another way, please contact us. Thank you so much for your kind consideration.
Come on.